Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let us begin with a question. Not a small question, but one of those questions that, if you let it, can sit with you for the rest of your life. It is a simple question, but its simplicity is deceptive. Here it is: if you are not your thoughts, then who is the one who notices them? Close your eyes for a moment. Just imagine it. There is a voice in your head. It is talking right now, isn't it? It is commenting on my voice, perhaps judging the pace, or planning what you will do after this video ends. It might be replaying an argument from 3 years ago, or rehearsing a conversation you are worried about having tomorrow. That voice has been with you your entire life. It wakes you up in the middle of the night with worries. It whispers encouragement when you are afraid. It claims ownership over your successes and takes credit for your failures. We call that voice, me. We call those thoughts, my thoughts. And for most of us, the equation is simple: thoughts equal self. I think, therefore I am. But what if that equation is wrong? What if the foundation of your identity, the endless stream of mental chatter you have been listening to since childhood, is actually just a passenger, not the driver? What if you are not the one thinking the thoughts, but rather the one who is aware of them? This is not a modern self-help gimmick. This is the central inquiry of Buddhist philosophy. It is the axis upon which the entire path to liberation turns. For over 2,500 years, monks in forest monasteries, philosophers in dusty universities, and householders in bustling cities have sat with this single inquiry: if I am not my thoughts, then what am I? And why does this distinction hold the key to ending human suffering? Today, on Monk's Temple, we are going to sit with this question. Not to rush to an answer, but to explore the architecture of the mind. We are going to look at why the mind clings to thoughts as if they were solid objects. We are going to tell stories, ancient and modern, that illuminate the difference between the thinker and the knower. And perhaps, by the end, you will begin to glimpse a space within yourself that has always been there, waiting to be noticed. A space that is not filled with noise. A space that is actually free. This is a long conversation. 3 hours, perhaps. But time is not the enemy here. Rushing is the enemy. So let us settle in. Find a comfortable posture. If you are driving, please keep your eyes on the road. If you are resting, let your body soften. We are going to walk this path slowly, with the patience of a monk tending a garden. We are going to watch the mind. And we are going to discover that you are not the gardener who pulls the weeds in frustration. You are the soil itself, ancient and vast, untouched by the seasons. Let us begin with a story. Imagine a man who goes to a cinema. He buys his ticket, finds his seat, and the lights go down. The film begins. It is a thriller. The tension is high. There is a chase scene. The hero is running through dark alleys, a villain just steps behind. The man in the audience is gripping the armrests. His heart is racing. His palms are sweating. He leans forward, whispering to himself, "Run. Run faster." He is so absorbed in the film that he forgets he is sitting in a seat. He forgets the theater. He forgets the projector whirring behind his head. He forgets the screen. All that exists for him is the chase. He is not watching the movie, he is the movie. Now, the projectionist, who has been sitting in the booth for hours, looks down at the audience. He sees the man gripping the armrest. He sees the tension in his shoulders. And the projectionist smiles softly to himself, because he knows something the man in the audience has forgotten. He knows that the film is just light projected onto a screen. He knows that the villain is not real. He knows that the chase is an illusion of flickering images. And he knows that the man in the audience, if he simply turned his head and looked at the projector, would laugh at how terrified he had been. This is the nature of the human mind. The thoughts are the film. The emotions are the plot twists. The cravings and aversions are the chase scenes. And we, the ordinary consciousness, sit in the audience thinking we are the character on the screen. We suffer because we believe the images are real. We suffer because we have forgotten that we are the awareness watching the film. The teaching of the Buddha is not to destroy the film. It is not to walk out of the theater in disgust. It is to remember that you are the screen. The screen is not harmed by the images. It holds the tragedy and the comedy equally. It remains unstained by the blood of the villain or the tears of the hero. You are not your thoughts. You are the space in which thoughts appear. Let us be honest. This idea sounds liberating in theory, but in practice, it is terrifying. Because if I am not my thoughts, then who am I? For most of us, the inner voice is our identity. It is the narrator of our life story. Without it, we feel we would be lost, like an actor who has forgotten their lines. But let us examine this narrator for a moment. What kind of narrator is it? If you listen closely, you might notice that the voice is rarely neutral. It is often critical. It tells you that you are not good enough. It compares you to others. It reminds you of past embarrassments with vivid detail. It projects future catastrophes that almost never happen. If you had a friend who spoke to you the way your inner voice speaks to you, would you keep that friend? Would you invite them to dinner? Would you trust their advice? Probably not. Yet we let this voice run our lives. We let it dictate our happiness. We believe every word it says. The philosopher Epictetus, who lived centuries before the Buddha's teachings traveled west, said something remarkably similar. He said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." He understood that it is not the event that causes our suffering, but our interpretation of the event. And where do those interpretations live? In the mind. In the thoughts. Buddhist psychology takes this a step further. It identifies a specific mental factor called manas, a kind of egocentric preoccupation. This is the part of the mind that constantly references everything back to me. It is the thought that says, "Why is this happening to me? What will they think of me? I deserve better." This constant self-referential thinking is the engine of suffering. It creates a solid sense of a self that exists independently, a self that must be defended, gratified, and protected. But if you look for this self, really look, where is it? Is it in your head? In your chest? Is it a specific thought? If you try to locate the I that is having the thoughts, you will find that it is elusive. It vanishes under scrutiny. Like a dream that evaporates when you wake up, the sense of a solid self dissolves when you look directly at it. This is not nihilism. It is not saying that you don't exist. It is saying that the way you think you exist, as a solid, permanent, independent entity, is a misperception. And that misperception is the root of clinging. We cling to things to prop up this illusion of a self. We want the car because it makes me look successful. We want the relationship because it makes me feel complete. We avoid failure because it makes me feel shame. The entire drama of human life revolves around this phantom self. There is a famous teaching from the Buddha called the parable of the two arrows. It goes like this. Imagine you are walking through the forest and you are struck by an arrow. It pierces your skin. It causes pain. This is the first arrow. It is inevitable. It is the physical sensation of pain, or the unwanted event that happens in life. Sickness, loss, aging, disappointment, these are the first arrows. They are part of being human. They come to everyone. But then, the Buddha says, after the first arrow strikes, you shoot yourself with a second arrow. The second arrow is your reaction to the pain. It is the mental suffering you add on top of the physical or circumstantial pain. It is the thought, why me? It is the story you tell yourself about how unfair it is. It is the resistance, the fear, the self-pity. The second arrow is entirely self-inflicted. The teaching is not that we can avoid the first arrow. That is impossible. The teaching is that we can learn to stop shooting the second arrow. And how do we stop? We stop by recognizing that the second arrow is made of thoughts. And those thoughts are not us. They are just mental events arising and passing away. We can choose not to grasp them. We can choose to let them be. When you are caught in a spiral of anxiety, ask yourself, is this the first arrow or the second? Is there actual danger right now, or is my mind telling me a story about danger? Often, the immediate sensation, the tightness in the chest, the flutter in the stomach, is the first arrow. It is a physical sensation. But the thoughts that follow, the catastrophizing, the self-criticism, the endless what-ifs, those are the second arrow. You can stop. You can breathe. You can observe the thoughts without believing them. This is the beginning of freedom. It is the realization that you do not have to obey your thoughts. You can simply witness them. To understand why we are so attached to our thoughts, we have to go back to the historical teachings of the Buddha. One of the most profound teachings is called Pratitya Samutpada, or dependent origination. It is a map of how suffering arises. And at the heart of this map is ignorance, ignorance of the true nature of reality. The Buddha taught that because we do not see things as they are, we create a sense of self. Because we create a sense of self, we crave experiences that affirm that self. Because we crave, we grasp. Because we grasp, we become. Because we become, we are born into suffering. And because we are born into suffering, we age, we sicken, and we die, only to repeat the cycle again. This is not a metaphysical theory to be believed. It is a psychological process to be observed in the present moment. Right now, can you see how a thought arises, you identify with it, you crave for it to continue or to stop, you grasp at it, and then you experience the tension of holding on. That is dependent origination happening in real time. The good news is that the chain can be broken. It is broken by wisdom, by seeing that the thought is not you. When you see that, the craving loosens. The grasping relaxes. And the cycle of suffering begins to unwind. This is not an intellectual understanding. You can know the theory of dependent origination for years and still be enslaved by your thoughts. The understanding must become a lived experience. You must see it for yourself, in the laboratory of your own mind. There is a classic analogy from the Buddhist tradition that illustrates this perceptual shift. It is the story of a man walking down a dark path at dusk. He sees something coiled on the ground in front of him. His heart jumps. His mind screams, "Snake!" He freezes. His body fills with adrenaline. He imagines the venom, the pain, the danger. He is terrified. But then, a traveler comes with a lantern. The light falls on the object. And the man sees that it is not a snake at all. It is a rope, coiled on the ground. In that moment, what happens to his fear? It vanishes. Not because he reasoned it away, but because he saw the truth. The fear was never about the rope. The fear was about his mistaken perception. Our thoughts are the same. When we believe them, we react as if they are real. We treat a passing worry as a concrete threat. We treat a fleeting self-critical thought as an absolute truth about who we are. But when we bring the light of awareness, when we shine the lantern of mindfulness, we see that the thought is just a mental formation. It is a rope, not a snake. And here is the crucial point. The rope never became a snake. It was always a rope. The snake existed only in the mind. Your suffering exists only in the mind. The external circumstances may be challenging, but the suffering, the second arrow, is added by your interpretation. So if you are not your thoughts, what are you? The Buddhist answer is subtle. It does not give you a new identity to cling to. It points you towards something that is already present, awareness. Awareness is not a thing. It is not a concept. It is the capacity to know. It is the light by which all experience is known. Thoughts come and go within awareness. Emotions rise and fall. Sensations appear and disappear. But awareness itself does not come and go. It is always there, like the sky that remains while clouds pass through. You can test this for yourself right now. Listen to the sounds in your environment. Maybe you hear the hum of a refrigerator, the distant traffic, the silence between my words. Now, notice that you are aware of those sounds. That awareness is not disturbed by the sounds. It simply knows them. It is the same with thoughts. When a thought arises, you are aware of it. That awareness is not the thought. It is the knower of the thought. In the Buddhist tradition, this is sometimes called citta, mind in its purest sense. Not the thinking mind, but the knowing mind. And the path is about learning to rest in that knowing mind, rather than being swept away by the contents of the thinking mind. Let me tell you another story, this one from the Zen tradition. It is the story of a man who lived by a river. He was a patient man, but he had a temper. He worked hard, and he valued peace and quiet. One day, he was crossing the river in his small boat when another boat came speeding toward him. It was coming fast, directly on a collision course. The man shouted, "Watch out! Turn! Are you blind?" But the boat kept coming. It struck his boat with a loud crack, nearly capsizing him. The man was furious. He stood up in his boat, shaking his fist, ready to unleash a torrent of abuse at the other boatman. But when he looked, he saw that the other boat was empty. There was no one at the helm. It had simply drifted downstream with the current. In that moment, his anger vanished. He realized that his anger had not been caused by the boat. It had been caused by his assumption that someone was deliberately coming at him. When he saw that there was no one to blame, the anger had no place to land. This is a profound teaching about our interactions with thoughts. When a thought arises, we instinctively assume there is a thinker behind it. We assume it is personal. We take it as a deliberate attack or a valuable command. But what if the thoughts are just drifting boats? What if there is no one at the helm? What if they are simply arising from conditions, past conditioning, chemical processes, environmental stimuli, and passing away on their own? When we stop assuming that thoughts are mine and that they are being generated by a self, we stop reacting to them with anger, fear, or attachment. We see them for what they are, empty boats, drifting on the river of the mind. The Buddha analyzed the human experience into 5 components, called the skandhas or aggregates. They are form, the physical body, sensation, feeling tones of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, perception, the act of recognizing, mental formations, thoughts, intentions, emotions, and consciousness, the basic knowing. Notice where the self is in this list. It is nowhere. The Buddha taught that what we call the self is simply a collection of these 5 aggregates functioning together. But because they function in a coherent way, we mistake them for a solid, permanent entity. This is like mistaking a pile of sand for a solid rock. The sand looks solid from a distance. But when you look closely, you see that it is made of countless individual grains. And if you try to grasp it, it slips through your fingers. The mental formations aggregate is where thoughts live. But mental formations are impermanent. They arise and pass away constantly. They are not under your control. You cannot decide to stop thinking forever. Thoughts just happen. They are like waves on the ocean, generated by winds, currents, and the moon's pull. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. When you identify with the wave, you fear crashing on the shore. When you know yourself as the ocean, you are unafraid. You know that the wave will rise and fall, but the ocean remains. I want to share a story that comes from a teaching I once heard in a forest monastery. It is not a traditional parable, but it illustrates the point clearly. There was a gardener who tended a large, beautiful garden. He loved his garden. But he had one problem: weeds. Every morning, he would walk through the garden and see the weeds, and he would become angry. He would spend hours pulling them out, cursing under his breath. He would lie awake at night worrying about the weeds, imagining them overtaking his flowers. One day, a monk came to visit. The monk saw the gardener's frustration and asked, "Why are you so troubled?" The gardener said, "The weeds. They are destroying my garden. I cannot control them. I pull them out, and they come back. They ruin everything." The monk looked at the garden. He saw the flowers, the sunlight, the bees buzzing, the rich soil. He said, "Your garden is beautiful. Why are you only looking at the weeds? The weeds are part of the garden, too. They are not the enemy. They are simply plants growing where you do not want them. But your anger is not coming from the weeds. It is coming from your resistance to them." The gardener thought about this. He realized that the weeds were not actually harming the flowers. The flowers were blooming just fine. His suffering was not from the weeds, it was from his constant war with them. He stopped fighting. He still tended the garden, but he did so with a relaxed mind. He accepted that weeds would grow. He pulled them when he could, but he did not take them personally. And to his surprise, the garden became even more beautiful, because he was no longer too tense to enjoy it. Our thoughts are the weeds. They will always arise. That is the nature of the mind. But we do not have to go to war with them. We can acknowledge them, tend to what needs tending, and let the rest be. The garden of your awareness is vast. It can hold the weeds and the flowers equally. One of the most practical ways to experience the truth that you are not your thoughts is to notice the gaps between them. Thoughts are not continuous. They arise, they exist for a moment, and they dissolve. In between, there is a space. A brief moment of silence. A gap. Most people never notice these gaps because they are so absorbed in the content of the thoughts. But with practice, you can begin to notice the silence between the words. And as you notice the silence, you realize that the silence is not empty. It is full of awareness. It is the natural state of the mind when it is not being grabbed by thinking. Try it now. Take a breath. Let the breath settle. Now, wait for the next thought to arise. Don't look for it. Just wait. In that waiting, there is a space. That space is not thinking. It is pure awareness. And it is already here. You do not have to create it. You only have to notice it. As you practice noticing these gaps, you will begin to rest more in awareness and less in thoughts. You will see that thoughts are just visitors in your mind. They come, they stay for a while, and they go. You can be the gracious host who does not get swept up in the drama of the guests. This is the beginning of meditation. Not forcing the mind to be blank, but allowing thoughts to come and go while you rest as the one who knows. Now, I want to be careful here. There is a common pitfall in this teaching. Sometimes people hear, "You are not your thoughts," and they create a new identity. They say, "I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness." And then they cling to that. They make awareness into a new self, a higher self, a spiritual self. But this is still clinging. It is still the mind constructing an identity. The true teaching is not that awareness is a new, better self. It is that the very notion of self is a construct. Awareness is not a self. It is not a thing you possess. It is the open, boundless, non-personal field in which everything appears. The Buddha was asked directly, "Is there a self?" He remained silent. He was asked, "Is there no self?" He remained silent. He understood that both questions are traps. To say there is a self is to affirm clinging. To say there is no self is to invite nihilism. The truth is beyond both. So as you explore this teaching, do not try to replace the old identity with a new one. Simply investigate. See for yourself what is true. Do not take my word for it. Do not take the Buddha's word for it. Look in your own experience. Are you your thoughts? Can you find a self that is separate from thoughts? Or is the experience of self just another thought, arising and passing away? There is a story from the Upanishads, the ancient philosophical texts of India, which predate Buddhism but share a similar inquiry. It is the story of a king named Janaka who was known for his wisdom and his wealth. One day, a sage came to his court and asked him, "Your Majesty, what have you realized in your quest for truth?" King Janaka said, "I have realized that I am not the body, which decays. I am not the mind, which changes. I am not the senses, which are fleeting. I am the eternal awareness that witnesses all of these." The sage nodded. Then he asked, "Then why do you still sit on a throne? Why do you still rule a kingdom? If you are pure awareness, why do you engage in worldly affairs?" Janaka smiled. He said, "Because the awareness does not move. The throne, the kingdom, the affairs, they arise within the awareness. I rule because it is the role I play. But I am not attached to the role. I am like an actor who knows he is acting. He can play the king on stage, but he does not forget that he is not the king when the play ends. This is the ideal. To be fully engaged in life, to think, to plan, to feel, but to know that you are not the thinker, the planner, the feeler. You are the space in which all of this occurs. You can play your role with skill and compassion, but you are not bound by it. To ground these teachings in history, it is worth remembering the story of the Buddha himself. He was not born a Buddha. He was a prince named Siddhartha Gautama. He was raised in luxury, shielded from the realities of aging, sickness, and death. But when he finally encountered these truths, his mind was shaken. He realized that his comfortable life was built on a foundation of ignorance. He was identified with his thoughts, the thoughts of pleasure, status, and security. He left his palace, his wife, and his newborn son to seek liberation. He studied with the great meditation masters of his time. He mastered the deepest states of concentration. But he found that even in those states, the seeds of suffering remained. He then practiced extreme asceticism, nearly starving himself to death. Still, he was not free. Finally, he sat down under a tree. He made a vow, "Let my skin and sinews dry up. Let the flesh and blood waste away. I will not move from this seat until I have found the end of suffering." That night, he turned his attention inward. He did not look to the heavens for answers. He did not pray to gods. He looked at his own mind. He saw the arising and passing of thoughts. He saw the chain of dependent origination. He saw the 5 aggregates. And at the moment of dawn, he realized that there was no self to be found. He saw through the illusion. And in that seeing, all clinging ceased. When he was asked later, "What are you?" he did not say, "I am a god," or "I am a sage." He said, "I am awake." That is all. He was awake to the truth that thoughts are not self. He was awake to the reality that suffering arises from identification with thoughts. And he spent the next 45 years teaching others how to wake up for themselves. Let me share another story, this one from the Tibetan tradition. It is a story about a merchant who was traveling with a large sum of money. He was passing through a dangerous forest, and he knew there were thieves who preyed on travelers. To protect himself, he took the money and hid it in a hollow tree. He marked the tree with a special symbol so he could find it again. Then he continued on his way, confident that his wealth was safe. A thief was watching from the shadows. He saw the merchant hide the money. He waited until the merchant left, then he went to the tree and stole it all. When the merchant returned, he went to the tree. The money was gone. He searched frantically. He retraced his steps. But the money was nowhere to be found. He became consumed with grief and anger. He lost his appetite. He could not sleep. He thought of nothing but the lost money. He was a prisoner of his own mind. Years passed. The merchant grew old. One day, a monk came to his village. The monk was known for his wisdom. The merchant went to him and poured out his story, still tormented by the loss. The monk listened patiently. Then he said, "If you had never hidden the money in the tree, would you still be suffering now?" The merchant said, "No. I would have forgotten about it long ago." The monk said, "Then it is not the money that causes your suffering. It is your attachment to it. The money is gone. But you keep recreating the loss in your mind, over and over. You have become the thief who steals your own peace." The merchant realized in that moment that his suffering was self-created. The thief had taken the money once. But he, the merchant, had been stealing his own peace every day since then by replaying the story. He let go. He forgave himself. And he walked away free. This is what we do with thoughts. A thought arises, maybe a criticism, a fear, a desire. We grab it. We hide it in the hollow tree of our mind. And then we spend years going back to it, replaying it, suffering from it. But the thought is not the source of the suffering. The grasping is. So how do we stop grasping? The answer is not to suppress thoughts. Suppression is just another form of grasping, pushing away instead of pulling close. The answer is to let thoughts be. To allow them to arise without interference, to allow them to stay without resistance, and to allow them to pass without following. This is the practice of mindfulness. It is not about having a blank mind. It is about having a mind that is free from clinging. When a thought arises, you notice it. You say, "Ah, a thought." You do not add to it. You do not argue with it. You do not elaborate on it. You simply let it be. And because you are not feeding it with attention, it naturally dissolves. Imagine you are sitting by a river. Leaves float by on the surface. You do not reach out to grab them. You do not try to stop them. You simply watch them float by. Some leaves are beautiful. Some are ugly. Some are large. Some are small. But you let them all float by without interference. Your thoughts are the leaves. Your awareness is the riverbank. You are not the leaves. You are the one watching. This is a skill. It takes practice. The mind has been in the habit of grabbing thoughts for a very long time. It will not let go overnight. But with patience, with consistent practice, you can train the mind to rest in awareness. And as you do, you will discover that the peace you have been seeking is not something you need to create. It is already there, underneath the turbulence of thought. There is a famous Zen story that speaks to this. It is the story of a man who was being chased by a tiger. He ran as fast as he could, but the tiger was gaining. He came to the edge of a cliff. He saw a vine hanging over the side. He grabbed it and climbed down. Halfway down, he looked up. The tiger was at the top, snarling. He looked down. Another tiger was at the bottom, waiting. He was trapped. Then he saw a strawberry growing on the cliff face. It was ripe and red. He reached out, picked the strawberry, and ate it. It was the sweetest strawberry he had ever tasted. This story is often interpreted as a teaching about being present. The man was surrounded by danger, the past, the tiger above, and the future, the tiger below. But in the present moment, there was a strawberry. And he tasted it fully. The same is true with thoughts. The past is a thought. The future is a thought. The only reality is this moment. And in this moment, there is awareness. You can taste it. You can rest in it. The tigers of regret and anxiety may be looming, but they are not real. They are thoughts. And you do not have to climb down to meet them. You can stay here, tasting the strawberry of the present. For many people, the idea of not being their thoughts is frightening. They worry that if they let go of their thoughts, they will become empty, hollow, or inhuman. They think that their thoughts are what make them unique, what make them interesting. But consider this, is a lake empty because the waves are not present? No. The lake is full of depth, full of water. It does not need waves to be itself. In fact, the lake is most itself when it is still. The waves are just disturbances on the surface. Your thoughts are the waves. Your essence is the lake. When you let go of the waves, you do not become empty. You become full of presence. You become available for life in a way that you were not before, because you are no longer distracted by the noise. There is a word in the Pali language, Habhasara. It means, luminous. The Buddha said that the mind is naturally luminous, but it is defiled by adventitious defilements. The defilements are the thoughts, the greed, the hatred, the delusion. They are not inherent to the mind. They are visitors. And when they are seen clearly, they leave. What remains is the luminous mind. The mind that is awake. Let me offer one more story to illustrate this. Imagine a painter who has a large studio. The studio has white walls. Over the years, the painter has painted many canvases. Each canvas is a different scene, some joyful, some sorrowful, some chaotic. The canvases are stacked against the walls. They take up space. The painter spends his days moving from canvas to canvas, looking at them, touching them, rearranging them. He identifies with them. He says, "These are my paintings. This is who I am." One day, a friend visits. The friend looks around at the cluttered studio. He says, "Why are you living among these old paintings? They are just expressions of your past. They are not you. You are the one who painted them. But you are not the paintings." The painter looks at his studio with fresh eyes. He sees that the paintings are covering the walls. He sees that the white walls, the original space, are still there beneath them. He begins to move the paintings out, one by one. And as he does, the studio becomes lighter, more open. He can breathe. He can see the white walls again. He does not destroy the paintings. He just stops living among them. He puts them in storage. He can still look at them if he wants. But they no longer define his space. Your mind is the studio. Your thoughts are the paintings. You are not the thoughts. You are the space. And that space, when it is cleared of clutter, is luminous and free. So where do we go from here? The teaching that you are not your thoughts is not a conclusion. It is a starting point. It is an invitation to investigate. It is a path of practice. The path has 3 stages, traditionally: ethics, concentration, and wisdom. Ethics, living in a way that does not create conflict in the mind. Concentration, training the mind to be stable and focused. Wisdom, seeing the nature of reality directly. For most of us, the work begins with small moments. You wake up in the morning, and the first thought arises, maybe anxiety about the day. Instead of following it, you pause. You feel the breath. You notice the thought as a thought. You rest in the awareness that knows it. That is a moment of practice. You are driving, and someone cuts you off. Anger flares. Instead of reacting, you notice the tightness in your body. You notice the thought, "How dare they?" You see it as a mental event, not as a command. You breathe. You let it go. That is a moment of practice. You are lying in bed at night, and the mind starts spinning stories about the future. You recognize the stories. You bring your attention back to the breath, back to the body, back to the present. That is a moment of practice. Each moment of practice is a seed. Over time, those seeds grow. The gaps between thoughts become longer. The identification becomes looser. The suffering becomes lighter. And one day, you realize that you have been living in a way that you never thought possible. You are still you. But you are free. There is a Chinese proverb that I love: "The bamboo bends with the wind, but it does not break." The bamboo is flexible. It does not resist the wind. It yields. And because it yields, it survives. Our minds are like the bamboo. Thoughts are like the wind. When we resist thoughts, when we fight them, suppress them, or cling to them, we become rigid. We break under the pressure. But when we learn to yield, to allow thoughts to arise and pass without resistance, we remain flexible. We remain whole. The wind of thoughts will always blow. That is the nature of the mind. But you can be the bamboo. You can sway with the wind without losing your roots. Your roots are in awareness. And awareness is deeper than any wind. To truly understand why we cling to thoughts, we have to look at craving. The Buddha said that craving is the origin of suffering. But what is craving? It is the mind's movement toward pleasant experiences and away from unpleasant ones. It is the constant "I want" and "I don't want." Thoughts are the vehicles of craving. When we have a pleasant thought, we want it to stay. We latch onto it. We replay it. We create fantasies around it. When we have an unpleasant thought, we want it to go. We push it away. We resist it. We create stories of escape. Both actions, grasping and pushing, are forms of clinging. And both create tension. The mind is never at rest when it is clinging. It is always reaching, always avoiding, always busy. The practice is to see this movement clearly. To notice when the mind is reaching for something pleasant. To notice when it is recoiling from something unpleasant. And to simply observe that movement without participating in it. This is called upekkha in Pali, equanimity. It is the balance of mind that is not thrown off by the ups and downs of experience. Equanimity is not indifference. It is not coldness. It is a deep stability that allows compassion to flow freely. When you are not caught in your own thoughts, you have more capacity to care for others. You are not distracted by your own drama. You can be fully present for whoever is in front of you. There is a story about a mother whose child was very ill. She took the child to every healer in the land, but none could help. Finally, she heard of a Buddha who was staying in a nearby grove. She took her child and went to see him. When she arrived, she was desperate. She fell at the Buddha's feet and begged him to save her child. The Buddha looked at her with great compassion. He said, "I can help you, but first, you must bring me a mustard seed from a house where no one has died." The mother was hopeful. She went from house to house, asking for a mustard seed. At each house, the people were happy to give her one. But when she asked if anyone had died there, each family said, "Yes, we have lost many." She returned to the Buddha empty-handed. But in her journey, something had changed. She had seen that death is universal. She had seen that her suffering was not unique. She had let go of the illusion that her child's illness was a personal tragedy. She had touched the universal truth of impermanence. The Buddha said, "You have brought me something more valuable than a mustard seed. You have brought understanding." This story is not about thoughts directly, but it speaks to the same principle. The mother's suffering was caused by her identification with the thought, "This is happening to me. This should not be happening." When she saw that this is the nature of life, her clinging loosened. Our thoughts tell us that our problems are unique, that our pain is special, that we are singled out by fate. But when we look deeply, we see that all beings experience loss, all beings experience fear, all beings experience the impermanence of what they love. This universal perspective loosens the grip of personal thoughts. Impermanence is a core Buddhist teaching. Everything that arises passes away. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, relationships, bodies, all of it is in constant flux. But we resist this truth. We try to make things permanent. We cling to thoughts because they feel solid. We cling to identities because they feel stable. But the truth is that impermanence is not a tragedy. It is what makes life possible. If thoughts did not pass, you would be stuck in one thought forever. If emotions did not change, you could not experience joy or relief. Impermanence is the very nature of freedom. When you see that a thought is impermanent, you stop trying to hold on to it. You let it flow. You become like a river, not a stagnant pond. The river is always moving, always fresh. The pond becomes stale. Your mind is meant to flow. Thoughts are meant to arise and pass. The problem is not the flow. The problem is the dams we build, the clinging that stops the flow and creates stagnation. So let the thoughts flow. Let them come and go. Do not build dams. Be the riverbed, not the water. The riverbed is stable, but it allows the water to move freely. Let's bring this into practical terms. How do you live this teaching? How do you walk through the world knowing that you are not your thoughts? First, cultivate moments of pause. Throughout your day, take a few seconds to stop. Feel your breath. Look at your hands. Notice the space around you. In that pause, you are not thinking. You are being. Those moments are tiny awakenings. They accumulate. Second, when a strong emotion arises, name it. Say to yourself, anger is here. Or, fear is here. Not, I am angry. Just, anger is here. This simple shift from identification to observation creates space. You are not the anger. You are the one noticing anger. Third, question your thoughts. When a thought says, I can't do this, ask, is that true? When a thought says, they don't like me, ask, do I know that for sure? This is not about doubting everything. It is about not automatically believing the narrator. Fourth, practice meditation. Even 10 minutes a day can transform your relationship with your thoughts. Sit. Watch the breath. When thoughts come, notice them, and gently return to the breath. You are training the mind to let go. It is like training a puppy. You don't yell at the puppy for wandering. You gently bring it back. Over and over. With patience. Fifth, remember the two arrows. When pain comes, feel it. Do not add the second arrow of story. When difficulty arises, meet it with presence. Do not add the layer of self-pity or blame. Sixth, spend time in nature. Nature is a great teacher of non-identification. Watch a tree. It does not think about being a tree. It just grows. Watch a river. It does not cling to its water. It flows. Being in nature helps you remember that you are part of something larger than your thoughts. There is a well-known Zen story that illustrates the difference between being caught in thoughts and being free. Two monks were traveling together. They came to a river where a woman was standing, afraid to cross. The first monk, without hesitation, picked her up, carried her across, and set her down on the other side. The monks continued on their journey. Hours later, the second monk said, "You know, we are not supposed to touch women. That was against our vows. I cannot believe you did that." The first monk smiled and said, "I set her down hours ago. You are still carrying her." The second monk had taken the event and turned it into a thought. He was replaying it, analyzing it, judging it. He was carrying the thought long after the event was over. The first monk had acted, and then let go. He was not burdened by the memory. We do this constantly. We carry thoughts like heavy loads. We replay conversations. We relive mistakes. We rehearse future scenarios. But all of this is optional. We can set them down. We can choose to put down the burden. One of the reasons we cling to thoughts is because we believe we can control them. We think that if we think hard enough, we can solve our problems. We think that if we plan enough, we can prevent disaster. We think that if we analyze enough, we can understand everything. But the truth is that thoughts are not under our control. They arise from causes and conditions. You cannot decide what your next thought will be. Try it. Try to decide what you will think in 5 seconds. You can't. Thoughts just happen. This is not to say that you are powerless. You can influence the conditions. You can choose what you pay attention to. You can cultivate wholesome mental states. But you cannot control the arising of thoughts. And the attempt to control them is a source of immense frustration. Letting go of the illusion of control is liberating. You stop trying to manage every thought. You stop beating yourself up for having bad thoughts. You recognize that thoughts are just weather patterns in the mind. They come and go. You don't have to control the weather. You just dress appropriately and go about your day. This is a classic Taoist story, but it fits perfectly here. A farmer's horse ran away. The neighbors came to console him. "What bad luck," they said. The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 7 wild horses. The neighbors came to celebrate. "What good luck," they said. The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses. He was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors came to console him. "What bad luck," they said. The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the army came to the village to conscript young men for a war. They passed over the farmer's son because of his broken leg. The neighbors came to celebrate. "What good luck," they said. The farmer said, "Maybe." The farmer was not caught in the thoughts of good and bad. He understood that events are not inherently good or bad. They are just events. The judgments are thoughts. And thoughts are not reliable. When you stop labeling everything as good or bad, you stop generating so much suffering. You see things as they are, without the overlay of mental commentary. You become like the farmer, who could accept what came without being tossed around by opinions. As you practice seeing thoughts as not self, something interesting happens. You begin to have more compassion for yourself. When you see that thoughts are just arising from conditions, you stop blaming yourself for them. You stop the harsh self-criticism. You realize that you are not a bad person for having a dark thought. It is just a thought. It arose. It will pass. And this compassion naturally extends to others. When someone speaks harshly to you, you can see that they are caught in their thoughts. They are not their anger. They are suffering. You can respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. This is the fruit of the practice. Not just personal peace, but the ability to relate to others with wisdom and kindness. You are no longer defending a self that does not exist. You are free to love. There is a story from the Jataka tales, stories of the Buddha's past lives, that speaks to this. In one life, the Buddha was a stone cutter. He worked in a quarry, cutting stone from the mountain. He was strong and skilled, but he was also proud. He thought that his strength made him superior. One day, he saw a merchant who had more wealth than he could imagine. The stone cutter thought, "I want to be a merchant." And by the power of his desire, he became a merchant. But then he saw a king, with all his power and glory. He thought, "I want to be a king." And he became a king. But then he saw the sun, shining with unfathomable power. He thought, "I want to be the sun." And he became the sun. But then he saw a cloud covering the sun. He thought, "I want to be a cloud." And he became a cloud. But then he saw the wind blowing the cloud. He thought, "I want to be the wind." And he became the wind. But then he saw a mountain that the wind could not move. He thought, "I want to be a mountain." And he became a mountain. And then he saw a stone cutter, chipping away at the mountain. In each stage, he was dissatisfied. He always wanted to be something else. He was never content with what he was. This is the nature of the mind that identifies with thoughts. It is always seeking, always becoming, never arriving. The only way to find peace is to stop seeking. To rest as the awareness that is already here. To realize that you are not the stone cutter, the merchant, the king, the sun, the cloud, the wind, or the mountain. You are the one who sees them all. As we come toward the end of this long conversation, I want to invite you into silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of presence. The silence that is always here beneath the noise of thoughts. You have been listening to words for a long time. Words are thoughts. They are useful. They point the way. But the way itself is not words. It is a direct experience. It is something you have to taste for yourself. So let's sit together for a moment in silence. Close your eyes if you are able. Feel the breath. Feel the body sitting. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice the space between the sounds. Notice the space between the breaths. That space is awareness. It is always here. It has never been disturbed by a single thought. It is your true home. Allow a moment of silence here in the script, a natural pause for the viewer to rest. You can return to this silence anytime. It is not something you have to create. It is the background of all experience. The thoughts come and go, but the silence remains. You are that silence. You are not the noise. So, let us return to the question we started with: if you are not your thoughts, who are you? The answer is not a concept. It is not a definition. It is a living realization. It is the recognition that you are the one who knows the thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. And that awareness is not limited. It is not personal. It is not born and does not die. When you rest in this recognition, thoughts lose their power. They become like birds flying across the sky. They leave no trace. You can think when thinking is useful. You can plan when planning is needed. But you are not enslaved by the thoughts. You are the free space in which they move. This is the freedom the Buddha spoke of. It is not freedom from thoughts. It is freedom in thoughts. It is the freedom to think without being bound by thinking. It is the freedom to feel without being overwhelmed by feeling. It is the freedom to live fully, with all the joys and sorrows of life, without clinging to any of it. This freedom is your birthright. It is not something you need to earn. It is something you only need to recognize. It is already here. Right now. In this moment. In the awareness that is reading these words. In the silence that holds the words. I want to leave you with the last words of the Buddha. As he lay dying, surrounded by his disciples, he spoke these words: all conditioned things are impermanent. Strive on with diligence. He did not say, believe in me. He did not say, follow my rules. He said, strive on with diligence. Keep practicing. Keep investigating. Keep looking into the nature of your own mind. The answer is not in a book. It is not in a teacher. It is in your own direct experience. You are the one who knows. You are the awareness that has always been here. The thoughts have come and gone. The emotions have risen and fallen. The body has changed. But the awareness that knows all of this has not changed. It is timeless. It is you. Not you as a person. Not you as an ego. You as the vast, open, luminous presence that is the ground of all experience. Rest in that. Rest as that. And whenever you forget, simply ask yourself, who is thinking this thought? And look. Look for the thinker. When you cannot find one, rest in that not knowing. That is the door to freedom. Thank you for sitting with me on Monk's Temple. May your journey be peaceful. May your mind be free. And may you find, in the silence between thoughts, the peace that has always been your true nature.